I'm live. It says there's one person here, but I think that's just me. Oh, no, now there are some more people here. Hi. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes and start probably like 7:01 or 7:02 to make sure that everybody's here that wants to be. Hi, Jamie. I see you. We're going to do better tonight. Last night we had some audio issues, which I think Amber helped me figure out. I think I knocked my microphone and unplugged it for a few minutes. And so I know if you can hear me, oh, good. So if you can hear me, then I'm not touching anything. So let me know if you can hear me, and then I'll know that I've got it set the way that it's supposed to be. Okay, good. It was funny. I feel like I should have some music playing to entertain. I talked to Colin today and yesterday while I was reading the first chapter, he had it on in the kitchen, I guess. And there's one point where the mom uses her mom voice and says, Alexa. And when I read it, he said his Alexa went off. Hi, Amber. How are you? What time is it? Oh, it's 7 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to wait for one more minute and see if anybody else shows up. You guys have crowns next to your names. And just so you know, Jamie is crown number 1 and Amber is crown number 2. I don't know what that means. No. You are the queen. And I just realized how much I blend into this couch. If I get nervous, I'm just going to sit back like this and nobody can see me. Yeah, she is a princess. She's been a princess since the day she was born. I'm in the basement, but it is a cozy basement. Okay, less than a minute to go. I have to tilt my head down so my glasses don't shine in the light. All right, well, I'm going to get started. And scene. Hi there, and welcome to night 2 of 3 Nights in Fenhallow. Tonight, I'm going to be reading Chapter 2, The Plan and Other Lies We Tell Ourselves. For those of you who were here yesterday to hear Chapter 1, welcome back. And if this is your first time listening to this and joining us, and welcome. I'm glad to have you. I'm reading chapters of it's coming out in a week, exactly a week from today. It's coming out on 11/25/25, Fenhallow. It's the story of a girl who lives in a magical sanctuary for magical creatures, and she is turning 12, and she is needing to decide whether she should follow what her parents and her family have always chosen for her, or whether she should branch out on her own and do what she loves. So without further ado, here we go. Chapter 2, The Plan and Other Lies We Tell Ourselves. Lexi trudged down the stairs the next morning, bleary-eyed and exhausted. After the Braxis Bear emergency, she tossed and turned all night in a weird half-sleep filled with strange, grasping shadows and creepy, glowing eyes glaring at her from the dark. Tala had winked back home partway through the night, grumbling about getting some real shut-eye. She was dressed in relatively clean shorts and a t-shirt she'd found on the floor, too tired to go digging in her closet. The bean she'd found on the ground was tucked in her pocket for safekeeping. Wyatt was waiting at the bottom of the stairs, and they walked together toward the kitchen. About time. Sorcia said there's bacon and he stopped mid-sentence. Lexi followed his gaze and froze. The dining room table was set, like feast-ready set. No one ever used the dining room table for eating. Puzzles, yes. Translating tricky verbiage out of ancient spell books, definitely. But eating, that never happened, unless it was for something important or someone. She edged closer. The chandelier above the table sent fractured rainbows across the white tablecloth. 6 places, set with all the extra plates and tiny forks that she never knew how to use. Crystal goblets, napkins folded like dragons, all the fancy touches waiting for something or someone to arrive. A knot twisted in her stomach. The last time the table looked like this, everything had changed. It had been the night of Dad's goodbye supper, when they all sat here pretending it was just another mission, before he left for Braxia, and never came home. She didn't realize she was backing away until her shoulder bumped the wall. Her thoughts scattered. Good news? Bad? A celebration? A warning? The questions tangled in her throat, sharp and sudden. Why was the only thought that stuck. This bacon isn't going to eat itself, you know. A blue-skinned woman wearing a flowered apron stuck her head around the kitchen door frame. Sorcia, why is the table set? Lexi hurried the rest of the way into the kitchen and hopped up onto a stool at the wide marble island. Despite her unease, the food looked and smelled incredible. Every morning, Sorcia and her helpers cooked a buffet-style breakfast for all the workers at Fenhallow to eat as they had time. Today, there were rashers of bacon, a large serving dish filled with scrambled eggs, and baskets full of chocolate baneberry muffins. Pitchers of orange juice, coffee, and a sweet caramel drink called Hennyfell were lined up by a tray of mugs. Company, obviously, duh. Wyatt hopped up beside her, grabbed a plate, and started scooping out a pile of eggs. Duh. Leave it to her brother to ignore the drama in favor of stuffing his face. It did smell great, though. She grabbed a plate and a muffin. Sorcia, who's coming? There are 10 other people who need to eat, young man. Sorcia grabbed the spoon from Wyatt and removed some of the eggs from his plate. She gave Lexi 2 pieces of bacon and added, You want answers? Ask your mother. I'm just doing what the schedule says. But Sorcia, don't give me buts. Eat quick and get out to the barn. Chores need doing and I need to get back to work. Sorcia gave them a motherly smile and disappeared out the door. Lexi frowned. That didn't explain the goblets, or the dragon napkins, or the way her stomach still hadn't unclenched. She picked at her muffin, still caught up in thought. In her mind, she saw the gleaming silver, the bright white tablecloth set. But for who? Wyatt gave her a look. It'll be someone important. Council director, maybe? He always seemed to read her mind. Maybe, Lexi murmured. But why? I mean, it's important, that's obvious. Do you think it's good news? Wyatt shrugged, inhaling an entire piece of bacon in one bite. Dunno, maybe to congratulate me on putting up with a nosy little sister for the past 12 years? Lexi rolled her eyes, but there was a twist in her chest. Shut up. Seems more like 50. Lexi swiped at his arm, smiling despite her unease. Wyatt stuffed a big bite of muffin in his mouth and groaned in exaggerated pleasure, dropping crumbs down the front of his shirt. Happy to see me go, he said, raining crumbs down his shirt. Lexi considered the question. Not really, she said, picking at a chocolate chip. He took his time swallowing, a teasing grin spreading across his face. Really? Wow, I'm touched. She wrinkled her nose, huffing a laugh, despite the sinking sensation in her stomach. Well, once you're gone, there won't be anyone else to help with chores. You love doing chores. It was true. She loved them, caring for magical creatures, making potions, cleaning the barns and habitats. They were things that felt right and normal, the rhythm of a magical way station. But still, there was an emptiness in Fenhallow when it was just her and their mom that made the work feel less like a distraction and more like something that couldn't quite fill the space he left behind, especially after. She frowned, cutting off the thought. Yeah, well, maybe I'll miss you too, a little. She nudged her shoulder into his. That was also true. She and Wyatt were friends as well as brother and sister. Sure, they fought over stupid things, and he played his music way too loud, and he always hogged the best chores from the chore board. But he also had explored every inch of Fenhallow with her. What she didn't say was how her throat felt funny when she thought about him leaving her behind again. For 12 years, she'd had a big brother to follow around. She hadn't been prepared for how empty Fenhallow felt without him. Wyatt was a library apprentice. The apprentice, actually, chosen by the realm librarian himself last spring. A golden envelope had arrived at their house 3 weeks before his 13th birthday. Official seal, the whole dramatic deal. It announced the date of his upcoming hat throwing ceremony, where he would choose his apprenticeship with the Council of Worlds, the organization that helped all the realms work together smoothly. For Wyatt's ceremony, he'd been offered three choices: traveler's apprentice, librarian's apprentice, or customer relations, which was just a desk job at council headquarters, and who the heck would want that? Wyatt had surprised them all when he threw his hat in the librarian's ring, especially Lexi. He'd gone against the plan that Mom, Dad, Lexi, and Wyatt had talked about for years. The one that said Wyatt would follow in Dad's footsteps and Lexi in Mom's, and they would run Fenhallow together. Mom and Dad had laughed and hugged him and told him they weren't surprised at all with his choice. But Lexi was. Now, months later, her own golden letter had arrived the week before. Lexi's spirits rose at the thought of the thick parchment letter that sat on her own desk, crinkled from her reading over and over. Her letter had come a whole year earlier than his had, the one time she'd ever beaten him at anything. 12 was early. Most kids didn't get theirs until 13. 3 more weeks, and she would decide what job she would train for in the Council of Worlds. Of course, it was no big secret, really. There was only one option listed on her letter. She was going to be her mother's apprentice and learn all about caretaker magic and running Fenhallow. That was the plan. It had been in place since before she could remember. The hat throwing ceremony was just a formality. Still, it was a big deal. Huge. And despite all the unease of the last few hours, she felt a thrill inside when she thought about it. So, she nibbled on her muffin. You're still sure you like being a library apprentice? Really? Sis, you say that like I'm working at a regular library shelving books. Wyatt scratched his head, leaving a clump of blonde hair sticking straight up. This is the interdimensional library. It's literally the library for all 5 realms. It's books and relics and maps. Last month I got to go on a treasure acquisition mission in the northern dwarven ruins of Tarm Canigan. How can you not think that sounds amazing? It really does sound amazing, she thought. But she said, how can you not want to be a traveler like Dad? Wasn't that always the plan? Wyatt sighed, his smile fading. He pressed his lips together, picking at a loose thread on his sleeve. Yeah, but sometimes plans change. You know what Mom was like after. He seemed to choke on the words, blinking hard while he picked new ones. Sometimes plans change. Silence hung in the air between them. Unsaid words that Lexi felt on her shoulders like a blanket of stone. She hated change, because yeah, plans had changed. 6 months ago, when Dad left for Braxia on a mission and never came home. First, Wyatt had turned his back on traveling just like that. Lexi couldn't understand it. Didn't he want to follow in Dad's footsteps? And now Dad was gone, maybe forever, whether she wanted to admit it or not. As if he read her mind again, Wyatt said, Anyway, it's too late now. I threw my hat in the librarian ring. You know what? I'm glad I did. I really love it, and I don't plan on changing my mind. This was probably the place where Lexi was supposed to grin and say how happy she was that her big brother was happy. But something inside her was clinging to the plan with both hands, like somehow choosing differently was a betrayal to the memory of their family when they were all together. A nod was all she could manage. Wyatt nudged her with his shoulder. What about you, huh? You don't want to explore new worlds? Why don't you be a traveler's apprentice? The thought lit a spark inside her, a secret, fierce little flame. But she said, Nah, I'm sticking to the plan. We always said I'd be Mom's apprentice. Caretaking is important. Fenhallow needs me. She puffed her chest out dramatically, making Wyatt snort. Besides, I get to do magic and help creatures. That's awesome, too. I know. It's just... Wyatt hesitated. What? Well, you know, your potion-making skills. You tend to blow stuff up. Lexi made a face. Okay, fine. I've blown up like 2 cauldrons, she grinned. But that's what an internship is for, right? To learn how to not blow stuff up? I suppose. Wyatt pursed his lips and looked at her, his blue eyes calculating. Lexi laughed. Seriously, what? Sometimes I think staying here at Fenhallow won't satisfy you. That's all. Lexi frowned. What's that supposed to mean? Wyatt shoveled in another piece of bacon. I mean, look at your room for starters. Your walls are covered with Dad's old maps of all the different realms. So? You carry around a traveler's journal and record everything about all the creatures you meet here. What's your point? You really don't see how much like Dad you are. She flinched. There it was again, that tug, like a secret she wasn't ready to say out loud yet. It doesn't matter, though, does it? She mumbled. Look what happened to him because he was a traveler. Wyatt didn't answer right away. He tilted his head back to watch a spider crawl across the ceiling. Mom says they're going to find him, he said finally. I know. The words tumbled off her lips, automatic, but doubt choked her voice, making it shake. It's been 6 months, Wyatt. Do you really think he's coming home? I hope so. His voice was barely a whisper. Lexi bit the inside of her cheek hard. She needed him to believe it, because if he didn't, she wasn't sure she could. Okay, kiddos, that's enough belly aching. Sorcia's voice cut through the silence, brisk but kind. She rounded the island, hands on her hips. Chores won't do themselves. Lexi swallowed and nodded, jumping down from the stool. No matter the drama, the creatures of Fenhallow always came first. And that's the end of chapter 2. Any questions? I feel like a teacher. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. Can I read more? Well, I'll read a whole other chapter if you come back tomorrow. Oh, hi, Meg. And then it's going to be out on 11/25/25. So you should pre-order your copies today so that you get them as quick as you possibly can. All right. Well, I will not keep you guys. Just know if you want to order, if you want to sign up for the subscriber list, you can go to tldemons.com and it has all the information there. I hope you enjoyed this little look into Fenhallow, and I'm really looking forward to tomorrow to read you the next one. The next chapter is going to be really fun because that's when we get to meet some of the characters in Fenhallow, some of the magical creatures. And if I do say so myself, I think they're a hoot. So, all right. Well, I'm going to end the stream. You guys have a lovely night, and I will see you tomorrow.